What is happening, YouTube and all you Dolphins fans? It is the Miami Football Fanatic here again. And in today's video, I want to talk about a handful of players that I think the Dolphins should definitely be re-signing this offseason. Guys that, are coming into the fourth year of their contracts. And guys I think that we should be re-signing early and, just bringing back for many years to come. So now that the Dolphins have rid themselves of ridiculous contracts handed out by the likes of Adam Gase and Mike Tannenbaum, the Miami Dolphins' current salary cap is in much better shape heading into training camp and the coming season. Gone are guys like Andre Branch, Robert Quinn, Josh Sitton, and Danny Amendola. And obviously, the biggest one of them all, Ryan Tannehill, has been traded away. The guy that's been holding down the franchise for the last 7 or so years. But unfortunately, Kiko Alonso is still around. I don't know why they kept him. But, there's many Dolphins fans that like Kiko. But, I just can't stand to watch him. I loved him his first year with the team. But after he got his contract, his contract's got nothing to do with his play. But he's just an infuriating linebacker that just pisses me off. So now that the salary cap has been cleansed, the Dolphins are going to have much more wiggle room to re-sign young impact players that will be around for many years to come. And as it currently stands, the Dolphins have about $37 million in cap space. That should be plenty of cash to sign the entire draft class, bring in veteran free agent help, but also bring back important foundational players. And the team will have around $100 million in cap space coming into the 2020 off-season. It's got potential to be even more depending how many guys we cut next year. If we cut guys like Rashad Jones and TJ McDonald. But obviously that kind of space, it just makes it easier to hand out contracts in the present. And obviously at the top of the list is Pro Bowl cornerback Xavien Howard. From Xavien Howard's rookie year to year 3, he has shown tremendous growth in his play. His first year in the league, Howard played in 7 games, starting 6, and he didn't have any picks that year, but the talent was obvious. He played with great physicality. He tackled like a 230-pound linebacker. He had good production playing the ball in the air with 6 passes defended, but the ability to pull in picks wasn't quite there, and the year was cut short due to knee surgery, and the Dolphins didn't want to risk it. He didn't want to risk him the rest of the year. They wanted to, make sure he was nice and healthy for the duration of his career. And as I said, he only played 7 games. In X's second year, things were looking up for the young corner. X was somewhat dominating during training camp, and he was looking like the lockdown corner that the team hoped they were getting when they took him in the second round in 2016. But through the first half of the season, Xavien was somewhat struggling. He was giving up a ton of yards, and he wasn't getting his hands on the ball at all. He was right there to make the plays, but he was coming up short a majority of the time, and the opponent was getting the better of him. Then finally, after the halfway point of the season, I think it was the Denver game, like halfway through December or early December, everything clicked for Xavien, and he had 4 interceptions in back-to-back games. So he had 2 in the Denver game and 2 against Tom Brady. All those weeks before, where he came so close to making the play, finally came to fruition. A dominant NFL corner had arrived, and he was able to start all 16 games that year. In year 3 for X, he was an absolute dominant force. He dominated training camp. It was well known last year that he absolutely took Devontae Parker out of his game, and Devontae just could get nothing going during training camp. And that really was the beginning of the end for Parker last year, even though the Dolphins did decide to bring him back. But, that's another topic for another day. And Xavien, he was dominant week in and week out against every wideout that he lined up against. He was shutting down his side of the field every week, and it was pretty incredible to see. Xavien Howard had officially transformed himself into a true shutdown corner. In 2018, he was named to the Pro Bowl, and he had 7 interceptions in only 12 games. An incredible mark. But again, Xavien Howard's year was cut short due to knee surgery, and that's a bit of a concern. But as a Dolphins fan, it was refreshing to see a player like Xavien progress from year 1 to 3 and just, transform into a dominant player under the eye of the Miami Dolphins coaching staff, player development, it really is something that hasn't been present in Miami for a long time now. But the point of the career breakdown was to explain why the Miami Dolphins should be re-signing Xavien Howard as soon as possible. Coming into his 4th year in the league, it makes all the sense in the world to lock him up now before he hits the open market in 2020, which I'm sure he probably wants to do. It really is rare to come across corners of Xavien's caliber. And Xavien has been great, showing up to voluntary workouts in good faith this offseason. I'm sure a 4 or 5 year deal will get done soon, and a homegrown Pro Bowl talent will be kept in Miami. It's a major task that really needs to get done. I mean, it's just we really need to have a shutdown corner on the team, and Xavien Howard is that. The knee injuries are a bit of a concern. They should come into play during negotiations, but I'm sure the sides will find some middle ground, as I'm sure they will. So the next player on my list that I think the Dolphins should be re-signing soon is running back Kenyan Drake out of Alabama. Even though college football has consistently been churning out solid talents in round 3 or 4 of the draft consistently, not many backs possess the talent and juice that Drake has. Kenyan Drake has shown every year, especially in year 2, that he's an elite talent at halfback that can do it all on the field. Unfortunately, Adam Gase's completely incompetent offense held back Drake tremendously last year. He only ran the ball 120 times. He should have ran it at least over 200. But he did catch the ball 53 times for 5 touchdowns. And he had a total of 9 touchdowns on the field. So I think he had 4 rushing and 5 receiving. You can only imagine what Kenyan will be capable of when used the right way. And honestly, Kenyan's lack of production, not to his fault, will work in the Dolphins' favour when we offer him a new contract this offseason. We'll be able to lock him up on a reasonable deal before he hits the open market. And I think a 3-year contract at $5 million is fair at this point. 3 years, $15 million. It's not a lowball offer, and it makes sense for both parties. Like I said before, you can get a talented running back in round 3 or 4 at any year of the draft. Hell, we even got Kalen Ballage in round 4 last year, and he's looking like a dynamic, promising running back coming into his 2nd year. But I'm really just not willing to let a talent like Kenyan Drake walk. He offers so much on the gridiron, and I think he'll be perfect in Chad O'Shea's offense that has a big emphasis on getting running backs involved in moving the chains. Just look at Sony Michel and James White from last year. They played a giant role in the Patriots' successful season and run to another Lombardi trophy. So Kenyan Drake and Chris Greer and co. need to get a contract done, because Kenyan Drake is just a player that I've loved to watch since his rookie year, especially the last couple of years. And he really is just a game-breaking talent that has, talent that not many guys possess at his size. And he's a guy that I want to see around for many years to come. That's a talent, as I said, I'm not willing to let go. The third player on my list that the Dolphins should be re-upping this offseason is wide receiver and kick and punt return extraordinaire, Jakeem Grant. Jakeem the Dream. Jakeem, just like Xavien Howard, has shown tremendous growth from year 1 to 3. In 2018, it was evident that Grant had gotten a lot stronger physically, and he did great work to improve himself as a pro during the offseason. His routes looked a lot more refined, and he wasn't getting manhandled like in previous years. But the main aspect of Jakeem's game that he improved the most in was his work on special teams, returning punts and kicks. Jakeem last year averaged 29.7 yards per kick return, which is an absolutely elite mark, and a whopping 16.3 yards per punt return. He also managed to score touchdowns in the red zone on both a kick and punt return. It was really obvious watching Jakeem the Dream last season that his vision as a returner was just greatly improved. You could just see that he was, maneuvering through traffic much better than he was his first 2 years in the league. He's a really hard worker, and he's got the heart of a giant despite standing only 5'7". I think that the Finns should be offering Jakeem a 2-year contract, averaging somewhere between $2 to $4 million. Jakeem may very well play out his deal and look to get a nice contract in free agency, but this season was cut short due to injury, an Achilles injury, I believe. So he would definitely be betting on himself to stay healthy for a full season and show that game-breaking speed on offense and on special teams. So he offers a lot to a team. Jakeem, he really was a nice find in the 6th round of the 2016 draft, and he's a guy that I'd love to see in the aqua and orange for at least another 3 to 4 years. He's a bundle of energy and a guy that just continues to improve, and I can't wait to see what he's going to offer in year 4 in the league. Another player that you could include on this list of players that the Dolphins definitely should be re-signing soon is left tackle Laremy Tunsil. Even though he's under contract for another 2 seasons after the Dolphins picked up his 5th-year option, which was a no-brainer move, it would make sense to lock him up to a long-term deal now before his value just absolutely skyrockets through the roof. In Laremy Tunsil's 3rd year in the league, he was an absolute force on the left side of the offensive line. He really was a pillar of granite. He gave up no sacks all year and was going up against a number of the best pass rushers in the league. Like Xavien and Jakeem Grant, Tunsil, improved upon his first 2 years in the league, and he really was the franchise left tackle that we thought we were getting when we picked him 13th overall in 2016. Left tackles these days just carry an incredibly hefty price, so it might make sense to give Tunsil an extension now. But with the Dolphins having over $100 million in cap space in 2020, it would make sense to lock him up next off-season as well. So obviously, an extension for Laremy Tunsil, it really isn't something that's paramount for the time being. But with the Dolphins having a bit of wiggle room this season to sign foundational players, and us having $100 million next off-season, it really isn't paramount to get the deal done now because we got some flexibility to get it done either this year or next year. So for the time being, it really isn't paramount to get it done. So in conclusion to the video, these are the players that I believe the Dolphins should definitely be locking up for the foreseeable future. Players that I think should be part of the Dolphins' plan to build the right way and to build a team that has sustained success and a winning culture. Obviously, in order for the rebuild plan to be successful, the Dolphins will need to bring back these talented players. Xavien Howard, Laremy Tunsil, Kenyan Drake, and Jakeem Grant to supplement the roster that Chris Greer and co are hoping to build in the next 2 to 3 years. So yeah, I'm sure there's another couple guys that could be missing here. We should probably be bringing back Walt Aikens as well, but that's not a main topic. He's a guy that's, mainly a special teams player, but a guy that's important to the special teams. Alrighty guys, so that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave your feedback in the comments section. Let me know if you agree with my assessments on the players and their contract situations. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Any interactions that you guys can give always helps the channel. Thanks for listening as always. I'll see you guys in the next one. Fins up, baby.